At 7:35 on the morning of August 27, 1992, 13-year-old Lee Oki was alone inside her home in Tupelo, Mississippi. Her mother had just left for work. Lee was supposed to stay home for a short time. Later that day, she was expected to attend an open house at school, and her grandmother was supposed to pick her up. It was the first time her mother had left her home alone. Outside, the weather was getting worse. The remnants of Hurricane Andrew were moving through the area, bringing heavy rain and dangerous storms. But inside the Oki home, everything should have been ordinary. A 13-year-old girl, a quiet house, a storm outside, and a mother who expected to see her daughter again in just a few hours. She never did. Less than 2 hours after leaving, Vicki Felton called home. She wanted to make sure Lee was okay because of the approaching storm. The phone rang. No answer. She called again. Still nothing. At first, Vicki was worried. Then she became frightened. She left work and drove back home. When she arrived, something immediately felt wrong. The garage door was open. The light inside was on, and one of the doors to the house was unlocked. Vicki entered the house and called her daughter's name. Lee didn't answer. She searched the rooms. Nothing. No Lee. Then she noticed something that would change the case forever. There was blood inside the house. Blood had been found in several areas, including the hallway, bathroom, and bedroom. There was blood on the walls and carpet, and investigators found blood and hair around a doorframe. The scene suggested that Lee may have suffered some kind of head injury, but there was no body. There was no Lee, and there was no obvious explanation for what had happened. Her mother immediately called police. It was approximately 9 o'clock in the morning. Lee had disappeared sometime after 7:35. That meant investigators were dealing with an incredibly small window of time. Less than 2 hours, possibly much less. And somewhere inside that window, a 13-year-old girl had vanished. Police began examining the house. Some of Lee's belongings were missing. Her shoes were gone. Her reading glasses were gone. Some of her clothing was missing, and a sleeping bag was also gone. In Lee's bedroom, investigators found blood-stained clothing, including a nightgown that her mother said Lee had been wearing that morning. There were also indications that someone may have tried to clean part of the scene. But if someone had attempted to erase what happened, they hadn't erased enough. The blood remained, the questions remained, and Lee was gone. One of the strangest parts of the scene was the lack of obvious forced entry. There was no shattered window, no broken door, nothing that immediately explained how a stranger could have entered the home. That raised a terrifying possibility. Perhaps whoever came inside didn't have to break in. Perhaps Lee opened the door. Perhaps she knew the person. Or perhaps the person had found another way inside. Investigators couldn't say for certain. And outside, the weather was making the search even harder. Heavy rain had passed through the area. Search teams brought in tracking dogs, but the dogs couldn't establish a useful trail. The storm had potentially destroyed whatever scent Lee might have left behind. Police searched the surrounding area, roads, fields, drainage areas, nearby locations, but there was no sign of Lee. No confirmed sighting, no vehicle that could be definitively connected to her disappearance. No body, and no clear suspect. Then, about a week later, investigators received a strange lead. Someone reported seeing a girl resembling Lee at a McDonald's drive-thru in Boonville, Mississippi. It sounded promising, but investigators eventually determined that the girl was not Lee. The sighting was false. And then, something even stranger happened. On September 9th, 1992, an envelope arrived in the mail. Inside was something that belonged to Lee. Her glasses. The glasses she had been wearing before she disappeared. But the envelope wasn't simply dropped off at the police station. It had been mailed to the Oki residence, and it was addressed to Lee's stepfather, Barney Yarborough. There was no ransom note, no explanation, no message, just the glasses. The envelope had been postmarked in Boonville, the same town connected to the false sighting of Lee. Boonville was roughly 30 miles from Tupelo. Suddenly, investigators had another mystery. Who had Lee's glasses? How did they get them? Why were they mailed back? And why were they sent from Boonville? Was someone trying to tell the family something? Was it an attempt to make investigators look in the wrong direction? Or was the person responsible simply playing with the investigation? The envelope itself offered very little. Investigators examined it, but the stamps did not provide the biological evidence they were hoping for. They had apparently been moistened with water rather than saliva. Whoever mailed the glasses left investigators with almost nothing. Just one terrifying fact. Someone had possession of Lee's glasses after she disappeared, and that person had never been conclusively identified. The investigation continued. People were questioned. Possible leads were followed. Different theories emerged. Perhaps Lee had been attacked inside the house and taken away. Perhaps she knew whoever entered. Perhaps someone had been watching the house. Perhaps the person responsible knew exactly how little time they had. But these were theories, not answers. And that distinction matters, because despite decades of speculation, no one has been conclusively identified as the person responsible for Lee's disappearance. There was another disturbing development the following year. Human remains were discovered in a soybean field. For a brief moment, investigators thought they might finally have found Lee, but the remains belonged to another missing woman.
Once again, the case returned to the same terrible question. Where was Lee?
Years passed, then decades. Technology changed. Investigative methods changed. DNA technology became far more advanced than it had been in 1992. But Lee remained missing. Her official case record still lists her as missing, and investigators continue to seek information about what happened to her. Today, the official description lists Lee as 13 years old at the time of her disappearance, approximately 4 feet 10 inches tall, and about 95 pounds, with blonde or strawberry blonde hair and hazel eyes. She wore glasses and had a distinctive lazy left eye. Mississippi Gomshodeha. Her last confirmed sighting remains the morning of August 27, 1992, 7:35 a.m., Tupelo, Mississippi. A 13-year-old girl inside her own home. And then, nothing. But perhaps the strangest part of the entire case isn't simply that Lee disappeared. It's what was left behind. Blood, missing belongings, an unlocked door, a storm that made tracking nearly impossible, and, weeks later, her glasses. Someone had them. Someone touched them. Someone put them inside an envelope, and someone sent them back. But why? If Lee had been kidnapped, why return her glasses? If the glasses were meant as a message, what was the message? If they were meant to mislead investigators, who was trying to create the false trail? And why Boonville? There is no confirmed answer. Even more disturbing is the possibility that the person who knows the answer may have never been identified. Imagine that morning. The rain outside. The house quiet. Lee alone. Her mother leaving for work. A phone ringing inside an empty house. No one answering. Then a garage door standing open. A door unlocked. Blood inside. And a 13-year-old girl who was simply no longer there. What happened during those missing minutes? Did someone enter the house? Did Lee open the door for someone she knew? Was she attacked suddenly? Was someone already waiting for her? Or was there something happening inside that house long before anyone realized it? We don't know. And that's what makes this case so disturbing. Because there are clues, but none of them tells us the whole story. The blood suggests that something serious happened inside the home. The missing belongings suggest that Lee did not simply leave everything behind. The glasses prove that someone had them after her disappearance. But the most important piece of the puzzle is still missing. Lee. More than 3 decades have passed since that morning. The world has changed. People who lived in Tupelo in 1992 have grown older. Some may have moved away. Some may no longer be alive. And memories that once seemed unimportant may have faded. But somewhere, there may still be someone who remembers something. A car, a person, a sound, a conversation, something they saw that morning and never realized mattered. Because sometimes in a case like this, the answer isn't hidden in some impossible mystery. It's hidden in one ordinary detail that nobody recognized at the time. And maybe that detail is still out there. Maybe someone knows why Lee disappeared. Maybe someone knows who mailed her glasses. Maybe someone knows what happened inside that house.
Or maybe the person responsible took the truth with them.
But one question remains. How does a 13-year-old girl disappear from her own home in the middle of a storm, leaving behind blood, missing belongings, and a pair of glasses that mysteriously return weeks later? On August 27, 1992, Lee Oki was home alone. Her mother left for work. The storm moved through Mississippi, and somewhere between 7:35 and 9 o'clock that morning, Lee vanished. No one has been able to explain exactly how. No one has been able to say where she went. And no one has ever been able to answer the question that has haunted this case for decades. Who took Lee Oki? And what really happened inside that house?